Hi, SE candidates. Hope you are staying at home and enjoying your self quarantine. As you all know that you could ask your teacher if any problems that could occur. But right now, that it is a very challenging moment. You need to solve yourself all the problem because after the self quarantine, government could decide anytime for SE examination. You must prepare and you must have the all persistence and patience for learning. So, by saying this, I like to continue my online classes. So, as you know that yesterday we had studied Unit 7, our past, Lesson 1, Revolution of 2007, Bikram Samad and Delhi Agreement. So, some of the portions from these lessons. So, today I am going to complete these lessons. And before completing these lessons, so I like to make you recall what we have learned yesterday. Just check out. Yesterday we learned Rana rule in Nepal, and uh, thereby then we studied causes of revolution of 2007 Bikram Samad. In causes, we had enlisted injustice and repressive rule of Ranas, poverty and unemployment, World War II, worldwide wave of democracy, establishment of political parties and movement, in political consciousness in people, internal clash among the Ranas. So these were the causes of revolution of 2007 that we learned yesterday. Now we are moving ahead that we explained already yesterday, and hope yesterday class was fruitful, and today you might learn more, and today definitely we are going to complete these chapters. Now for today, so we have the another topic, that is main provisions of Delhi Agreement. So I have enlisted some of the provisions that we can learn. One, election of constituent assembly to be held to draft new constitution. So we have already experienced the constituent assembly. So we have already like first CA first and second. So as we are very lucky, the Constitution of Nepal 2072 is also drafted by the Constituent Assembly. So in the Delhi Agreement also, it was one of the provision that election of Constituent Assembly to be held for drafting new constitution, but it was became the dream of Nepalese society forever. Because the second provision was interim coalition cabinet with the 10 members to be formed, including 5 members from Nepali Congress and 5 members from Ranas. Okay, it was so uh, like miraculous or very miracle, let's say that, because as Nepali people have sacrificed their blood, then they died for the democracies. Even though after the such revolutions, like finally on the agreement, the political parties they agreed on forming the interim coalitions where they will be the 5 members from Nepali Congress and 5 members from Ranas. And then what is the value of sacrificing blood? It might be questions, but in the Delhi agreement it was another provisions for 10 cabinet members, in which 5 members from Nepali Congress and 5 members from Ranas. Likewise, all the powers contained the Sritin to be delivered to the king, and the king Dirubon to be the legitimate king of Nepal. It means the power has been transferred from the Ranas to king. This is another provisions of the Delhi agreement. Likewise, political prisoner except those who are charged of criminal case to set free without any conditions. During the revolutions, the many activists or the many people they fought against the Rana and they were imprisoned. So this agreement says those political prisoners who are fought against Ranas and those who are imprisoned, they must be free. And likewise, the agitators to hand over their weapons to the government and stop movement. As you know that at the time there was a liberation army, and under the liberation army, liberation army, it means that they have fought against Ranarchy with arms and ammunitions. So those agitators were in the liberation army. Now after this agreement, they should hand over their weapons to the government and stop the movement. So it was the one of the provisions in which now agitators they should hand over the weapons to the government so that the government could bring the peace in Nepal. So in this way, overall, like five of the provisions were maintained on the daily agreement. One, election of constituent assembly for drafting new constitution, and 10-member cabinet including 5 members from Nepali Congress and 5 members from Ranach. And as you know that the powers contained in the Sirtin Maharaja, now it contained to the Ranas, now it must be delivered to the king. And political prisoners who fought against Rana, so they must be free. And the agitator who fought in the liberation army, their weapons must be or should be handed over to the government. So these were the provisions of the agreement. Now let's move forward. So today our next topic is consequence of revolution of 2007 Bikram Samad. So I've enlisted 5 of the points. One, foundation of democratic practice, increase in public awareness, beginning of constitutional process, exposure of Nepal international arena, increase in participation of people. Okay, let's explain them one by one. One, foundation of democratic practice. So while explaining it, you can start by saying that the democracy has brought in Nepal. So as Nepali people fought for the Ranarchy, the 104 years long autocratic family rules of Rana ended. Likewise, after the revolutions, as a consequence of revolutions, the democratic practices started in Nepal, like accountability, flexibility, transparency, corruption-free society, diplomacy. Okay, that clearly failed in various fields of Nepal, like a judicial system, public service system, political system. In this way, Nepal had practiced democratic norms and values after the revolution of 2007 Bikram Samad. So in this way you can explain this point. Okay, hope you understood. So as the autocratic family rules of Rana, it lasted for 104 years, it ended. Then after Nepal started to practice democratic norms and values like accountability, flexibility, transparency, corruption-free society, diplomacies. So in all the sectors and system of Nepal, judiciary, public service, and political system. So the next point is increase in public awareness. I like to make you remember that during the Rana period, only 2% people were illiterate. Okay, it means that people were deprived of educations, and some of the people who are highly curious to learn, they are gone to the India for learning. So only 2% people were literate. But after dawn of democracies, so we can compare easily the development of education, culture, literature that started in Nepal, and right to education became the fundamental right of people. Even government started to provide formal, informal education with the help of private sector. It means that after 2007, we can clearly see that even private sectors are involved in the education systems. Okay, it means that the private sector has also invested in the private sectors. So in this way, we can see after the dawn of democracy, both government as well as private sectors have participated to provide education to the Nepali societies. That's why we can say that there is a increase in public awareness after the dawn of democracies, means after the revolution of 2007 Bikram Samad. Let's move for the next point. It is the beginning of constitutional process. So as you know that constitution is the main law of country which protects rights of people and distributes the powers among the different organs of states, that we have already learned. And even though Nepal Government Legal Act 2004 was promulgated, but it was unimplemented. But when there was a Delhi agreement, then after interim Government Act of Nepal 2007 was formulated, and then after it means that in the rise of after the rise of the democracy, the one of the constitution was implemented, that is named after Interim Government Act of Nepal 2007. And we can say that is the first written and implemented constitution of Nepal. Okay, in this way we can say that Nepal has started to constitutional process. We are lucky that we have already drafted 7 of constitutions so far. The latest constitution of Nepal is Constitution of Nepal 2072. Hope this constitution will be lasted for long period of time. And if some of the articles is not favorable to the certain group of people, so these articles can be amended. So let's go for the next point. It's a really good contents. Okay. Now, exposure of Nepal in international arena. Before dawn of democracy, Nepal had only limited foreign relations. It is said that Nepal has maintained only foreign relationship with the four countries, and we were completely devoted to British government. Okay, but after dawn of democracy, Nepal adopted the non-aligned foreign policy, and we can say that we are the founder member of the NAM since its establishment in 1961 AD, and Nepal became the member of UNO. Nepal got the member of the United Nations organizations on December 14, 1955, and as you know that we are founder member of the SARC also. On we become the member of the SARC uh, in December 8, 1985. Likewise, we have maintained our diplomatic relations with EU, European Union, in 1975, and BIMSTEC in February 2004. It means that Nepal has maintained its relationship to the various international organizations. We have maintained our diplomatic as well as bilateral, multilateral relationships. Likewise, we can see that Nepal extended its foreign relations to various countries. So we can see the data. So far we have already maintained our diplomatic relationship to the 168 countries. Recently, Nepal and Ghana had diplomatic relationship on September 25, 2019. Okay, this is the latest data. Next point is increase in participation of people. So before the rise of democracy, roles of people were ignored under the dictatorship of Rana. Means the Rana had ignored Nepali people and their role. But after dawn of democracy, government has always encouraged people to participate in various developmental activities as well as creative works. Okay, this is also another one of the best things of democracy.